My name's
We
Scott Galloway.
watched this guy on like it was like CNN, and I really liked what he was saying, and so apparently he did a TED talk, and it's been linked to me a
I teach
lot.
NYU, and I appreciate your time. I have 44 slides in 720 seconds. Let's light this candle. Okay, so for those of you who don't know me, I'm actually a global television star. True story. I've had 4 TV series in the last 3 years. 2 of them have been
Jesus.
canceled before they were launched, and 2 were canceled within 6 weeks. Let's
Ooh.
recap.
If we want to juice this thing, if we want to put a cattle prod up the ass of the economy.
Damn.
Bloomberg, the most trusted name in financial news. Not for long.
I'm going to do whatever I can
That guy's in shape, man. That's impressive.
for this country.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Jeez, come on, dude. You're 0 for 2. Are you stuck?
He's jacked, yeah.
Face for podcasting. So, first insight of the day, I'd like to be the first person to welcome you to the last TED. Okay. By the way, it's clear, what's it called? What are we here for? The Brave and the Brilliant. It's clear that Chris is a frustrated soap opera producer. Essentially what we have here is a telenovela where after a night of unbridled passion between Bill Gates and Malcolm Gladwell, they give birth to their bastard love child, Simon Sinek.
Fuck.
Okay. I start us with a question. Do we love our children?
No.
Sounds like an illegitimate question, right? Well, I'm going to try and convince you otherwise.
Yeah.
Essentially, as we go down generations, we're seeing that for the last 2 generations, people are making less money on an inflation-adjusted basis. In addition,
The 14, 17, 42. That's real bad. That's crazy.
the cost of buying a home, the cost of pursuing education continues to skyrocket. So the purchasing power, the prosperity is inversely correlated to
Yep.
age. Simply put, as we get younger, we're taking away opportunity and prosperity from our youngest. The social contract that is now no longer in place.
Yeah, this
and
is
for the
why kids hate capitalism, by the way. It's like if you're growing up and you're like 19 and the only way that you can go and, go to college is if you take out a fucking blood pact, a Faustian pact with the debt devil for $60,000 so you can finally, after 4 years, get a job working at Starbucks. Yeah, man, like maybe communism isn't so bad. I mean, really, if you look at it from their perspective, it makes a lot of sense.
first time in the U.S.'s history, a 30-year-old is no longer doing as well as
Yeah.
his or her parents were at 30. This is a breakdown in the fundamental agreement we have with any society, and it creates rage and shame. As a result, people over the age of 55 feel pretty good about America, but less than 1 in 5 people under the age of 34 feel very good about America.
Parents of U.S. adults are extremely proud to be American. Well, I'm part of that 18%. I think America is the greatest country ever. I'm very proud to be part of this country, even though I think there's a lot of things that are wrong with it.
This
I am.
creates an incendiary. Righteous movements, cuts to our society end up
Yeah.
becoming opportunistic infections because, generally speaking, young people have a warranted envy. They're pissed off and they're angry that they don't enjoy the same spoils and prosperity that were provided to our generation.
I think also with like social media, it like reminds younger people all the time that they're losers. It's like one thing if you're like 19 and you're barely making it, but every time you pull up social media, there's like a bunch of other people that are like your age that are like millionaires buying like a new house or something like that, because they are playing Fortnite or it's like some OnlyFans girl or something like that. Again, let's go back to communism. Let's take away women's right to vote. Let's be a fucking incel. Like that's how it happens. It does. It happens.
A decent proxy for how much we value youth labor is minimum wage, and we've kept it purposely pretty low. If it had just kept pace with productivity, it'd be about $23 a share, but we've decided to purposely keep it low. Out of reach, median home price has skyrocketed relative to median household income.
Jesus.
As a result, pre-pandemic, the average mortgage payment was $1,100. It's now $2,300.
Look how it was in 1985. That's crazy. I wonder what it's going to be like in 2030. I'm sure it'll be better, right, guys? Yeah, it can't keep going like this forever.
Acceleration in interest rates and the fact that the average home has gone from $290,000 to $420,000. By the way, the most expensive homes.
I remember, it was so crazy is that in like 2017, I remember going over to Mitch and Train's apartment, and I remember they were paying like $3,000 for the apartment. And I was like, what the fuck? That is so much money. And just in like less than 10 years, that's become normal. Where
in
they
the
live.
world, based on this metric, are number 3 Vancouver. Why? Because 60% of the cost of building a home goes to permits. Because guess what? The incumbents that own assets have weaponized government to make it very difficult for new entrants to ever get their own assets, thereby elevating their own net worth. This is the transfer I'm going to be speaking about. This has resulted in an enormous transfer of wealth, where people over the age of 70 used to control 19% of household income, versus people under the age of 40 used to control 12.
Jesus, that's terrible. Holy fuck. That is, wow. Boomers gotta go, man.
It isn't by accident, it's purposeful. This is me at UCLA in 1987. I know your first thought.
Man. I have pictures of myself with a lot of hair too. That sucks.
Is I haven't changed a bit.
Yeah.
This is also Mia Silverio, who is the analyst that put together these slides. By the way, Mia is 26. I did the math. Just by virtue of her being in this audience, it brings the average age of the entire conference down 11 days. When I applied to UCLA...
Yeah, everybody here is fucking old as shit. Like, look at this. Like, yeah, look. Yeah. Bro, there's no way this dude is not subscribed to AARP. Come on.
The admissions rate was 76%. Yeah. Today, it's 9%. I received a 2.23 GPA from UCLA. I learned nothing but how to make bongs out of household items in every line from Planet of the Apes. And the greatest public school in the world, Berkeley, decided to let me in with a 2.27 GPA.
Wow.
And that's what...
2.27. Damn. 2.2? I mean, I had it in high school, I was a 2.4.
Higher ed is about. Higher ed is about taking unremarkable kids and giving them a shot at being remarkable.
Yeah.
And every year, it's gotten more expensive.
I mean, he probably was the same as me, maybe, where, like, I got, like, pretty much perfect scores on my standardized tests, but I just wouldn't do my work at school because I didn't care. Like, that's what happened for me.
Higher ed and homes, and the ability, not only is higher ed incredibly expensive, it's not accessible. Because me and my colleagues are drunk on luxury, and I'll come back to that. We've embraced the ultimate strategy. Me and my colleagues in higher ed wake up every morning and ask ourselves the same question when we look in the mirror.
These are the things, guys, that people that shouldn't be spending money love to spend money on. Oh, man. Like, if somebody has money problems, guaranteed they've got one of these. Yep.
Look in the mirror. How can I increase my compensation while reducing my accountability? And we have found the ultimate strategy. It's called an LVMH strategy, where we artificially constrain supply to create aspiration and scarcity such that we can raise tuition faster than inflation. And old people and wealthy people have done the same thing with housing. All of a sudden, once you own a home, you become very concerned with traffic, and you make sure that there's no new housing permits. And here is a memo to my colleagues in higher ed. We're public servants, not fucking Chanel bags. Harvard.
He's right. He's fucking right.
Is the best example of this. They've increased their endowment in the last 40 years and have decided to expand their enrollment, their freshman class, by 4%.
Huh. So where's all that money go? That's a lot of money. Where'd the money go?
Any university
went to the football team, of course. Candy Crush,
freshman class faster than population that has over $1 billion in endowment should lose their tax-free status because they're no longer in higher education. They're a hedge fund offering classes. My first recommendation, Biden should take some of that $750 billion earmark to bail out the 1/3 of people that got to go to college on the backs of the 2/3 that didn't, and give $1 billion to our 500 greatest public institutions, size adjusted, in exchange for three things. One, They use technology and scale to reduce tuition by 2% a year, expand enrollments by 6% a year, and increase the number of vocational certifications and non-traditional four-year degrees by 20%.
Oh, this is too good of an idea. This isn't going to happen. There's no way. There's no way they could do this. Yeah, there's no way.
Where does that get us?
Yeah.
In just 10 years, that doubles the freshman seats and cuts the cost in half. This isn't radical. This is called college in the 80s and 90s. Another transfer of wealth.
Yeah, I remember my mom said that like whenever she was going to classes, it was like less than $100 to go to a class. And this was like probably in like the 60s and like early 70s, I guess, because she was born in 50. So yeah, somewhere around there. Not anymore? Yeah, I know. I was paying $4K a class. How much is each class for you guys, and what school do you go to? Or did you go to? If this is in the last 5 years. Or what year was it? 0? Yeah, there you go. 20 to 30, California. In Canada, it's 4K a class, 1K euro, 12K a year. 3K per year, 1K per year, 3.5K per semester, 2K over 2K per class. Man. Oh God. That's a big number. Ooh. Wow.
Look at what's happened to wages. Oh, they've gone up, not as much as corporate profits. There's a healthy tension
That's
between
crazy. Look at that.
capital and labor. For the last 40 years, capital has been kicking the shit out of labor. Well, you think, whoa, what about wages, right? They've gone up. Well, if you compare them to the S&P, they barely register. It's been an...
Oh my God. Look at that. It used to be... Bro, I thought he wasn't done. Wow. Invest in a stock market? Yeah, I guess so. Though I didn't even see it. Yeah, I thought he wasn't like, okay, so where's the other one? Yeah, I thought that was the axis. Exactly.
amazing time to own assets, but your attempt to get the certification or the income such that you can acquire assets has gotten harder and harder. In my class of 300 kids, it's never been easier to be a billionaire. It's never been harder to be a millionaire. By the way, our job in higher ed isn't to identify a top 1% of people who are freakishly remarkable or have rich parents and turn them into a superclass of billionaires. It's to give the bottom 90 a chance to be in the top 10. You know?
I think that's actually a really good point that he's making, is that if you can't have hope, then what's the point in trying? And I think that's why a lot of young people hate society and they want to have like a revolution and they're like, burn it all down. I hate everything. The reason why is because there's actually no hope. And like for a long time, and of course, always the odds are stacked against you. And of course, always there are people who rise above the current challenges and they're able to make a lot of money. Even this year, tons of people were able to make that American dream come true. However, it's a lot harder to do now in a lot of ways, and it's less common, and you need to be more exceptional. It's not like, you know, for example, you go and you think about a lot of like old TV shows, and like, I think if you go and you watch like a sitcom from like the 70s or the 80s, a lot of time like the dad in the sitcom is the only person in the sitcom that's making any money, and he just works at some random fucking place. And they've got a whole house, they're able to send the kids to college, they own 2 cars, and maybe they even have a boat. You know, yeah, Al Bundy, Homer Simpson, look at that. And so even in popular culture, this is known to be true. And nowadays, what kind of shows do we have now? Well, we have Breaking Bad. Oh, I don't know about that. I think that says a lot. Yeah, it's pretty problematic, isn't it? Peter Griffin, yeah, look at even that. Yeah, it's time to start cooking, guys. And I think that's what happens with a lot of young people, is that they basically feel like they can't Like, there's no future. I know that whenever I was, let's say, 20, this is definitely the way that I felt. I felt like, oh, there's no way that you're going to be able to rise above this because there's so many structural things that are just so oppressive.
You know who doesn't need me or higher education? The top 10%.
Yeah.
The whole point of higher ed is to give the unremarkables, i.e. yours truly, who was raised by a single immigrant mother, a shot of being remarkable.
Yeah, of course.
The transfer has been purposeful. While the cohorts, corporations...
And I think also another reason for higher education is to have an educated public. So a really good example of why an educated public matters is because of the fact that flat Earth is becoming more popular. And you can think of the most schizo, stupid, dumb fuck thing that you can ever imagine. And if you post it on Twitter, there'll be people like, yeah, that's... See, I've been thinking that. You see, birds, they ain't real, is they? No, I knew they weren't. Yeah, you see how they move their head? That's fake. For real, like, oh, we can't have wind turbines because they're killing all the birds. There's people that believe that shit. They believe that. And the reason why is because they're not educated. They're fucking stupid. They never had the opportunity for it. Politicians hate an educated public. Yes. Like, I don't know if I would go this far, but I think I would. To say that I think that it is intentional that the voting public and the average public user or citizen is intentionally uneducated. And I think that, for example, it is intentional that we don't learn statistics in high school. We're teaching Algebra 2 and not statistics. Because statistics will help people realize they're getting fucked over a lot more easily than algebra will. That's what I think. Maybe I'm crazy, okay? Hey, maybe I'm crazy. But it sure seems like it'd be beneficial. So maybe it's happening on purpose.
And the ultra-wealthy continue to garner more and more of our wealth.
Yeah.
We have decided, I know, if they win the gold, let's give them the silver and the bronze and let's lower their taxes.
Ooh.
This transfer is purposeful. It's not by accident.
Yeah.
And it works. Senior poverty is way down, and we should celebrate that. Meanwhile, child poverty is flat to up.
Oh, that's bad. That's kind of bad. I mean, it's not awful, right? But I mean, that's not great.
The third rail, I'm going to talk about Social Security. It would cost $11 billion to expand the child tax credit, but that got stripped out of the infrastructure bill. But the additional $135 billion a year to Social Security, that flies right through Congress. And every year we transfer one...
That's because guess who votes? The children vote or the people on Social Security vote? It's crazy how this shit happens, huh? How does this happen? It's a mystery.
$1.4 trillion from a cohort that is increasingly doing less well to the cohort that is the wealthiest cohort in the history of this planet. I'm not against Social Security, but the criteria should be if you need it, not whether you have a catheter. 80% of you have absolutely no reason to ever take Social Security. It is bankrupting our nation, and we have fallen under this mythology that somehow it's this great social program. No, it's not. It's the great transfer of wealth from young to old.
Less claps from that one. You know, I wonder why. Why would that possibly happen? It must be, it's a mystery. Yeah, the only people clapping are, yeah, she's clapping. She's probably like, like 37 or something, 20, 28. Exactly. I don't necessarily think that Social Security is a bad thing. I don't think that we should take it away from Social Security. I think that we should take it away from, like, I don't know, like military expenditures. Like, I'd rather gut making bombs and tanks than Social Security. And then after you do that, then maybe we can talk about Social Security. That's my perspective.
How is this happening?
Yeah.
Because our representatives are, in fact, representatives.
Both? Yeah, but start with the other one first. Yeah, that's
Washington
yeah.
has become a cross between the land of the dead and the Golden Girls.
Oh God.
Washington
So
has
median age of U.S. Congress.
become a cross between.
Oh my God. So the the median age in the Senate is 65. Which, well, yeah, I guess that's probably not a surprise. I assume that the average age would probably be a bit lower because there are some young people in Congress and in the House, but yeah, it's still pretty bad.
The land of the dead and the Golden Girls.
Yeah, it's median, not mean.
Quite frankly, this is fucking ridiculous. And if I sound ageist, I am. And you know who else is ageist? Biology.
Yeah.
When Speaker Pelosi had her...
She's 80 fucking 4. Isn't it crazy that her hair isn't gone gray at all? She looks good. Yeah, like I'm gonna be honest. Like I think it's impressive that she's still going, man. Like for real. Like it's fucking impressive. It's adrenochrome. Yeah, I guess so.
First child, get this, 2/3 of households didn't have color televisions, and Castro had just declared martial law. But she's
Oh my God.
supposed to understand the challenges of a 17-year-old girl who's 5'9", 95 pounds, getting tips on dieting and extreme dieting from Facebook. She's supposed to understand the challenges that a 27-year-old single mother face.
Yeah.
By the way, young and dreamy. Young and dreamy.
Yeah, 52.
The great intergenerational theft took place under the auspices of a virus. I know. Let's use the greatest health crisis in the century to really speedball the transfer. This is the
y'all should see, like, bro, this COVID shit went crazy.
NASDAQ from 2008 to 2012. We let the markets crash. And by the way, you need churn, you need disruption because it seeds and recalibrates
I thought I was gonna show
advantage
that.
and wealth from the incumbents to the entrants. It's a natural part of the cycle. But wait,
There's more.
lately, no, 1 million people dying would be bad. But what would be tragic is if we let the NASDAQ go down and guys like me lost wealth. So we pumped the economy, which again, increased the massive transfer of wealth. The best 2 years of my life.
Now, I gotta say, I invested a lot of money into stocks at about right here. Yeah. So it was a great time to invest. I think it really was. Yep. It was great. Doing okay then? Yeah, I'm all right.
COVID, more time with my kids, more time with Netflix, and my value of my stocks absolutely exploded. And who has to pay for my prosperity? Not me. Future
like
generations.
my dad went from, like, basically he made so much money in this period of time that now every single month he goes positive. And he doesn't work. He just fucking watches TV and fucks around and, you know, calls me on stream to call me an idiot, right? Like, that's basically about it. And yeah, he just goes up and up and up every month because how much money he's made from stocks.
Who will have to deal with an unprecedented level of debt. Why am I here and why do I deal with an unprecedented level of debt?
Shit. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Why am I here and why do I get the prosperity I enjoy? Because in 2008, we bailed out the banks, but we didn't bail out the economy. We let the markets fall. So as I was coming into my prime income earning years, I got to buy, no joke, these stocks at these prices. This is where those stocks are now. Where does a young person find disruption? When you bail out the baby boomer owner of a restaurant, all you're doing is robbing opportunity from the 26-year-old graduate of a culinary academy that wants her shot. We need disruption. We're economically attacking the young, but I know, let's attack their emotional and mental well-being. Let's take advantage of the fact of the flaws in our species with medieval institutions, Paleolithic instincts, and godlike technology. I'm just going to say, I think Mark Zuckerberg has done more damage to young people in our nation while making more money than any person in history.
I think social media is probably an overall bad thing for a lot of people, but I like social media personally. I do. I am a social media enjoyer. I've always been. Even whenever I was a kid, I was into it. But the truth is that I also think that I am an extreme. Because I see how social media affects a lot of people that I know. And man, they got you fucked up, huh? Man, they got you all kinds of fucked up. Like, damn, that's crazy. Like, you're going to get upset about this? You're going to get mad? Like, this is bad. This is amazing. Yeah, I mean, like, just don't get it. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Bro doesn't realize it has him fucked up? Nah, bro, like, back whenever I was, like, 14 and shit, I was still a psycho. Like, if you go and you look at... I have videos of myself when I was 14. You go watch those videos. I was a piece of shit. Nothing's changed. Like, there's very few people that can say that. But there's no fucking change. I was an asshole even before social media.
Oh, but wait, what could be worse? It's as if we let an adversary implant a neural jack into our youth to raise a generation of civic, military, and business leaders that hate America. How can
I think that it's not TikTok's fault that... Like, I don't agree that it's TikTok's fault that these people hate America, because he just went through 10 or 20 different slides of why people hate America. Those slides and those graphs are the reason why they hate America, not TikTok. It's just that sometimes TikTok shows them a graph.
be this
Yeah,
stupid?
they just pointed it out.
All right, this all adds up to a bunch of graphs all headed up into the right.
I love
And
graphs.
What are they? What's the first one? Oh, that's self-harm rates, which have
That's kind of bad. Yeah, that's bad. Oh, jeez.
exploded, especially among
Yeah.
girls, since my colleague Jonathan Haidt pointed out it's really gone crazy since social went on mobile. What's the next one? Teens with depression.
Ooh.
The next one, men and women not having sex.
Right here is whenever Wrath of the Lich King came out. So I think this graph actually makes a lot of sense. Just to keep in mind. And right here is about whenever League of Legends came out. Again, makes a lot of sense.
Biggest fear of my parents was that I was going to get in too much trouble. My biggest fear,
Yeah.
honestly, is that my kids aren't going to get into enough trouble. By the way, my advice to every young person watching this program is go out, drink more, and make a series of bad decisions that might pay off.
There it is. Yeah, based. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be honest. Like, my parents said the same. They did not give a fuck what I did.
Next graph, cumulative gun deaths. You're more likely to be shot in the United States if you're a toddler or an infant than a cop. Next graph, obesity, way up. By the way,
See, this is the thing, man. Is like, I'll see commercials of like, what do you call it? I'll see commercials of like, you know, back in the day, it's like fast food, or like any commercial, like a video of like in the 70s, and everybody was skinny. And then now I go and I see like a video of Walmart, and it's like it's not Wally World, it's just Wally. They're on the carts, man. They're on the carts. They're trying to pull things down off the carts. Or Golden Corral. But to be fair, Golden Corral was always it was a feeding trough. Probably even back then. But yeah, you're right. Then people aren't the norm anymore? Yeah, like look at this. That's crazy. And that's like fat kids too. 2 to 19. Now, I gotta say something. I think that if your kid is morbidly obese, that's child abuse. That's just the way it is.
The industrial food complex wants to addict you to shitty, fatty food so they can hand you over to the industrial diabetes complex. We should not romanticize obesity. You're not finding your fucking truth. You're finding diabetes.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fucking fact. Oh my god, I love this. Yeah, dude, his base as fuck. I know, and this is what people need to hear. Thank God somebody's just talking sense. It's animal abuse for pets? Yeah. Somehow I've defied this logic. I eat usually 1 meal a day and a few extra snacks, and I try to exercise every single day. To be fair, whenever I ate 3 meals a day and I never exercised, I still weighed the same amount, but still.
Dose deaths, way up.
Wait. I wanted to see if that one fat chick in the front was clapping, but apparently it didn't show that frame.
Overdose deaths, way up. Deaths
Yeah.
of despair. When I was in high school, it was drunk driving. Now it's kids killing themselves.
Yeah.
Young people don't want to have kids anymore. In school, it was drunk driving. Now it's kids killing themselves.
Yeah, I feel like people still do drunk driving. Like, I knew a lot of people whenever I was in, like, I'm trying to think how many people I knew that didn't drive drunk. Jesus. Oh, fuck. Me? I never did. I didn't drink. I don't think I've ever been in a car with Zach that was drinking and driving. So, like, at least 2 people I knew that didn't drink and drive. Drinking and driving right now?
Young people don't want to have kids anymore. 2/3 of people aged 30 to 34 able-bodied used to decide to have at least one child.
Yeah.
It's been cut in half. It's now less than a third.
Oh, my God. It's because of money, too.
27%. As a result, people over the age of 60 in the U.S., pretty happy. People under the age of 30, not so much. Some of the lowest in the free world.
Ooh. I'm not surprised that young people are unhappy. I think that, again, like, social media allows people to fucking hate themselves better than almost anything else has. And I think also it's especially true, like, I think that, like, really, like, with girls and guys, it's different, right? But it's not like guys have it easier, because, like, as a guy, seeing other guys on social media, like, with guys, it's like feast or famine, where, like, the top 10% of guys are doing super, super well. And then if you're in the bottom, like, 50%, things aren't very good. Whereas, like, for girls, there's probably a lot of other, like, more nuanced problems you get shit on. Yeah. Yeah, it's the top 10% are getting everything, or everyone in this circumstance, and the bottom 50% are getting anime figurines.
What can we do? Nothing wrong with America that can't be fixed with what's right with it. We got the hard stuff figured out. There are programs to address all of these issues. They cost a lot of money. That's the hard part. And we have figured this out. In just 5 minutes, post an earnings call, we can add $250 billion to the economy. We've got the hard part figured out, the resources.
Yep.
We have the money, but we decide not to do it. This is per capita spending on childcare in the United States relative to other nations.
So per cap public spending on child care, 30K, 24K, 9K, and we're at right. Okay. Okay.
This is housing permits. Things are doable. We increase minimum wage to $25 an hour. It goes into the economy. The wonderful things about low and middle income households is they spend all their money. We have to have a restore or a progressive tax structure with alternative minimum tax on corporations and wealthy individuals. We need to refund the IRS. We need to reform Social Security. It should be based on whether you need the money, not on how old you are. We need a negative income tax. My friend Andrew Yang screwed up a great idea, but he
did fuck up. That guy really fucked up. Holy shit, he fucked up. Yeah, I don't know what the hell happened. Like, yeah, it's like he said based. Yeah, Andrew, I was a big fan. And I still am.
It incorrectly. Instead of calling it UBI, he should have got Republicans on board by calling it a negative income tax. We need to
a good
eliminate
point.
the capital gains tax deduction. When did we decide that the money that capital earns is more noble than the money that sweat earns? Shouldn't it be flipped? We need to remove 230 protection for all algorithmically elevated content.
The 230 protect. Oh, is he going to explain it?
We need identity verification. The reason we
Okay,
can
yeah, 230 is whenever they're not accountable for the content on there.
have identity verification is because we have
social media websites are not accountable for the content that's posted on there because they are a publisher and not a platform. Or sorry, they are a platform and not a publisher.
First Amendment. Break up big tech. We have monopolies.
What was the second thing you said?
We need identity verification. The reason we can have identity verification is because we have a First Amendment. Break up big.
I think a lot of people are against identity verification for the internet, and I'm like really kind of torn on it. I feel like there's a lot of advantages and there's also a lot of negatives, and I kind of err on the side of not having it personally because I don't trust the people that would have it. Like, in a perfect world, I think identity verification would be the right decision, but I don't think that I could trust people to have the tools for identity verification and not use them maliciously. Privacy is a right? Yeah, I think that it is. It would get rid of minors on the internet? Yeah, no, it would, but so would good parenting. So are we going to give up our privacy because people are bad parents? I don't know if I want to do that. Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not sold on that one.
Tech. We have monopolies that are incurring greater and greater costs on every small business and parents because, again, see above, our representatives don't understand these technologies. We need to age gate social media. There's absolutely no reason anyone under the age of 16 should ever be on social media.
Anyone under the age of 18 should ever be on social media. There is no business a 16-year-old girl has on Instagram because if you check her DMs, guys, come on. Like, let's just get rid of this. Like, what are we doing? It's obviously bad. Yeah, if it should be the age of consent. Like, whatever the age of consent is, that's what it should be.
We need universal pre-K. We need to reinstate the expanded child tax credit. We need term limits. See above, Andrew Yang.
I'm not a fan of term limits. I think that if somebody's doing a good job, I want them to keep doing a good job. I think the problem is that I don't think the problem is actually term limits. I think the problem is a badly educated public that doesn't hold elected officials accountable. I don't want term limits or age limits at all. I think the problem is the voters. And any solution, like term limits, will not solve this problem because you'll just have new idiots come in that are also corrupt as well. That's my opinion.
Income-based affirmative
How do you hold them accountable whenever they don't care? Well, you vote for somebody else. The reason why politicians are able to do what they do is because voters don't hold them accountable because voters are too busy fighting with each other about like social wedge issues like abortion or like transsexual bathrooms or something like that. And they don't think about any of these other bigger issues because they're harder to understand. So if people were able to understand these bigger issues and they were able to process them and learn about them, then it would be easier to hold the politicians accountable. It's like, for example, a lot of people think that you're not able to run for president if you are a felon. That is actually not true. You can't vote, but you can run for president. And the reason why you can is that the founding fathers thought there's no fucking way that a felon would actually run for president and for it to happen. There's no way. How could that possibly? There's no way that would happen. Well, it might this time.
action. Any visible signs of affirmative action make no sense at all. You would rather be born gay or non-white in the United States today than poor, and that's a sign of our progress and our need to recalibrate who we give advantage to. Affirmative action, of which I'm a beneficiary of, I got Pell Grants, I got unfair advantage. Affirmative action is a wonderful thing, and it should be based on color. It should be based on green, how much money you have or don't have.
I think that's absolutely true. It's 100% true. The main thing that's going to hold people back is because of money. It's not like whether you're white or black or anything else. Like, if you don't have money, that's what it should be based off of. I also was a beneficiary of that. Absolutely.
And college enrollment and vocational programs, mental health, ban phones in schools, invest in third
I don't think you should ban phones in schools, by the way. I don't think so.
places, big brothers and sisters programs. We need national service. We need to tell people in the United States and Canada that they live in the greatest countries in the world, and we need to remind them.
The reason why not is because I think that if you take privileges away from people, you're treating them like children. And whenever you're talking about like 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, 16-year-olds, you need to treat them like adults. And if you don't treat them like adults, they are children. If they're 15, they're not. You know what? I would concede that I think that like in elementary school, I don't know, like I feel like there are more advantages to having phones in school than negatives, especially in terms of just like real logical things. Like, for example, like being able to call your parents to have them pick you up. I don't think that phones should be banned in schools. But I think that also parents should be able to, what do you call it? Or sorry, schools should be able to like disallow kids from having them out in class.
Them of that every day by exposing
Yeah,
them
they
to
should be banned from being like, maybe this is like confusing. You should be banned from pulling it out in class and using your phone in class, absolutely. But you should be allowed to have a phone with you.
other great Americans where they feel connected tissue. We can do all of this. We can do all of it. We have the resources. The question is, do we have the will? This is my last slide. It is an emotionally manipulative slide to try and get you to like me more. But it does have a message. This is the whole shooting match. Anybody here without kids, ask someone with kids. You have your world of work, you have your world of friends, you have your world of kids. Something happens here, your whole world shrinks to this.
Yep.
So I present, as I wrap here, which is a few questions. One, if you acknowledge that our kids are the most important thing in our lives, that everything else we do here is meaningful, but our kids' well-being and prosperity is profound. If you acknowledge that they're doing more poorly than previous generations, if you believe there's a chance that the illusion of complexity has done nothing but provide cloud cover for the unbelievable transfer of goodwill, of well-being, and of prosperity from young to old, and if you believe we can actually fix these problems and we have the resources, then I present to you.
I don't think that we can fix them right now. The reason why is I don't think that the voting population that makes decisions, like the adult population of America, is educated enough to be able to understand what those problems are and vote against them. I genuinely think that people are too stupid to understand what these problems are. Straight up. They're not. All right. All right. I
posit, I augur the question that I hope has more veracity than it did 17 minutes and 24 seconds ago. And that's the following question. Do we love our children? My name is Scott Galloway. I teach at NYU, and I appreciate your time.
There it is. Yeah, I think this is a really good,
Thank you.
really good TED Talk here. Actual TED Talk. Yeah, Omega based. Yeah, I love the graphs, man. I think that, dude, these graphs are fucking based. Holy shit. Where's like the graph of all 6 of them? I'm trying to see if I can find it here. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's sad. Yeah, he's pushing an agenda. Well, obviously he's pushing an agenda. What did you think he was doing? Like, of course it's an agenda. You put up the link? Yeah, I'll link you guys the video. I think that I agree with basically everything he said. Like, there's a few, like, little minor things. It's like, I don't think it's really the way to do it. But overall, I think that it's pretty obvious, right? People think agenda is a buzzword these days. Yeah, exactly. And just been on a roll ever since it's on Bill Maher. Yeah, this guy's great, man. I feel like a lot of people... I think one of the reasons why people like him is because he puts things in a very blunt and like raw way without kind of sugarcoating or anything like that. And yeah, he's very real with that, and he doesn't really like insult the audience's intelligence by like trying to like talk around it. You know, he cuts through bullshit. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he doesn't use bullshit language. Exactly. And so, yeah, I feel like for a lot of kids, especially, like the way that I think, like the big problem that I think a lot of people have is that I don't think people are educated enough to understand what the real problems are and how to solve things like this. And the reason why I think that is how easily people can be totally distracted by like celebrity drama and by just like random bullshit. Like people, I think that the problem is education fundamentally, because if you have a bad education system, you are going to keep creating a population of people that don't know what the fuck they're talking about and they're stupid. I think that's the big issue. That is because like that's what every other issue stems out of, because these things happen because of that. Yeah, the idiocracy. Yes, it actually is. It's a bit of a high-minded view. What change have you voted for recently? I voted in 2020. I mean, I don't remember like all of the different propositions I voted for or anything, but I voted back then. I didn't vote in 2022, but I'll be voting this time in the new presidential election. I will. And also, I think that not voting on something is better than voting on something that you're not educated on. I am not a fan of compelled voting. I think that people should only vote on things that they know and they understand. And this idea of voting for random things because they're part of your political party, or people because they're part of your political party, I find this to be very problematic and not good at all. So yeah,